Hey, what's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be showing you what I've learned with 2 scout promotions. I've been playing Depop for the last 3 to 4 months probably. Only scout, 2 promotions, 11 levels. Let's see what I've learned. The first thing I want to talk about is lighting up caves. When you walk into a cave, one of the most important things is to be able to see every aspect of the cave. You'll notice in all the clips in front of you, the first thing I do when exiting the drop pod is lighting up the starting cave. It is if I'm not fighting bugs, but if I am, the next thing I do is light up the caves. And this is why 1, 2, and 3 on the flare gun is the best loadout, because it allows you to spam light that last salon. This loadout essentially lets you get the best bang for your bucks. Anyway, why do you need to see everything in a cave? It's simple, your memory. It's effective. If you light up everything, you can memorize that there were, for example, 3 veins of nitra, 2 veins of gold, even if the flares go dark before you can mine everything. This rule changes depending on the size of caves, however. Starting caves and caves about the same size of them, this rule works amazingly well. Medium caves, however, this rule takes some tweaking. In large caves, like this one, you need to mine out parts of the cave at a time. Usually about an area double or even 3 times of your starter cave is enough. Why 3 times? A couple of reasons. Reason 1. A starter cave consists of multiple walls and a ceiling for ore to spawn on. In large caves, you're only going to be mining the stuff on the wall you're near and the ceiling. This means that you're going to be using more flares to mine less ore. Consequently, you're going to want to spread out your flares a lot more. In fact, if the ceiling is close enough, you may only need to use 1 or 2 flares to light up the room, because the ores are close enough to the ground for either your little white blip that happens on the laser pointer for you to see them naturally because of their shine and the fact that ores stand out a lot, or a regular flare does the job instead. Here's an example. So, as you can see, quick synapses. I'm coming in from this side right here. How to mine this? Start from the right. I like going from to the right to the left. This is a big cave, so you can tell 115 meters from here to basically the end of the cave. So, put a flare up there. About how far of one flare can light is the section you want to mine. So let's say there's something over there. I'd mine it, bam, 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 and then I'd put a flare. This is close enough. You can test it out before actually using a flare. You can test it out by throwing a regular flare. See if it's close enough. Nothing over there. I can throw. I don't want to wait for flare recharge, so I can shoot a flare now. As you can see, big section. So about just like mine to as far as you can see. Even if you don't really look behind you, especially in this type of cave. Because you can tell, there's this is too much to handle. So just main one side in a cave like this. Just go to one side. I don't want to wait for flare recharge. Bam, as you can see, you want to look on the floor. Look above you. On the floor, look above you. On the floor. If you saw something down there, you could go down here. You could, do a quick look. Look, I need red sugar. Then there's a loot bug right here, so come over here, kill it. Now there's chunks of shit everywhere. Also, did that loot bug drop Morkite? I think that loot bug dropped. I think that loot bug dropped Morkite. Dad, can you stand still, please? The computer's making noise. Alright. So now I know there's nothing over there, or there is something over there. There's something over here, so you just keep. So it's more of like a back and forth, but more of a swing type thing. But the swing flies forward more than it does backward. So I don't need a flare over here, so I can just use a regular flare. Use one down there. There's a chunk of gold right there. You can grapple back up to the top. Since this is low gravity, you're gonna wanna the thing's gonna fall a little bit more. You can see I can tell that nothing's there just by looking at it, otherwise my light from my headset, or not the headset, but the headlight that they by default give you would be blowing off. Can also there'd also be pinning. Then you just kind of loop back, right? On the right side of the cave. What the heck are you doing? Did you just mine all the way to the top? Alright, anyways.
No, I got a long way to go. We're a long way, man.
Now I'm over here. So now I just go the opposite direction, right? Look on this side of the wall. You know, if you've got two people, if you're searching with two people, this area is definitely small enough that you could be looking both ways, because you're less likely to miss something. Now I don't feel comfortable without a flare, so I'll shoot with a flare. Bam. Nothing here. Now I'm being a little bit more careless than you should be because I already know that there's stuff over here. Or I mined all the stuff. As you can see, like that Morkite, you can see it in the dark. Fine, no problems. But a lot of Morkite, you're not gonna just want to trust your dark sight. Just shoot a flare. Bam. 2, 1. And just, mine it. As you can see, I missed something. Wow, alright. Gold chunk. But that's how you basically mine a cave of this size. You just walk around, mine it, go a little bit backward if you have to, stay on one side of the cave, and shoot flares once the light ends, which is about, like here, if I was really comfortable with using flares, I could go on and then bam, one over there, which is what I usually do when I first start searching. Bam, over there. Yeah, that's basically how you do it. Anyways, have a nice day, guys. Let's get back to the video. Some rare caves are simply too big, and consequently you and your team need to mine them out in sections. These caves are the worst because, on average, you need to use about 1 flare per at most 2 minerals. The cave I just showed you is one of those rare occasions. However, it's a waste of your time if I show you a large cave and then show you basically the same cave in a smaller cave. However, you still need to light these up because light is important for every situation, from just scanning caves to fighting large swarms. The worst feeling is when you die because you couldn't see an acid or a web spitter, or you just didn't see that in front of you there was a drop just high enough to kill you. You want to be able to spot the acid spitters, the bugs crawling above you on the walls, or even just be able to tell if there are crevices in the terrain in front of you. That leads into the next thing. Never shoot your flare gun at the ground. If you need lighting to see the ground, shooting into the ceiling does the job just as well, and, as a plus side, lights up the ceiling and any walls around. I've also noticed that the light often spreads out a lot and looks prettier because there's usually less artifacts in the ceiling. There is one mission type where flares become a secondary job, however, and this is Quark missions. When you spawn, you maybe need to shoot 1 flare, but then focus your attention on the enemies, as I do here. Light isn't really a problem in the main cave, as you have the mine head with the rotating turrets with light on it. The only reason you need light in the main cave at all is the beginning, where the mine head isn't in play and needs to still land. Now, I'm going to explain why the fire rate perk is useless on the flare gun. This is very simple, actually. You don't need 4 flares in 1 second. Name one reason you would need to shoot 4 flares a second, especially since it's at the cost of 1 magazine round, making it actually fire 3 flares a second. I'll give you one. Oppressors. The flare gun is great for killing oppressors from the front. Just get the oppressor down low, and bam, 1-2 flares kills them. But there's no reason to sacrifice 1 magazine round for that rare occasion. Instead, you could Insta Swap and reload faster by Insta Swapping like I show you here. Alright, so Insta Swapping, what is it? It is basically switching to a weapon and then switching back to the weapon you were firing with to skip part of the reload animation and make reloading essentially quicker. So, how do you do it, and what does it work on? It works on a multitude of weapons, Sabota, Warthog, etc. Anything that reloads, basically. It can make it slightly faster or a lot faster. So I'm gonna start off with like the GK2. So I'm gonna fire. I'm gonna reload. Did you see what I did there? When the counter went from 16 to 35, when it went from the ammo that I was at to max ammo, I switched, even though the reload animation wasn't fully done. I switched because that is how you do Insta Swapping. So let's take it with the Zhukovs. See, you see how I quickly switched to the GK2 and then back to the Zhukovs? That's how you do it. Also, I recommend if you have a 4-button mouse, you assign your primary weapon to mouse button 4 and your secondary to mouse button 5. That makes it easier to insta-swap and with your tools and flare gun stuff as well. So with the flare gun, you can also use insta-swapping to increase the fire rate, like this. So you take the weapon, right? And then you shoot. Oh, crap, that man was still there. So shoot, switch. So I saw insta-swap on the rail there. That made it go a lot faster, so we'll watch. Oh, crap. There we go. So, the grapple gun. Onto it. What strategies do you use? What mods? Etc. etc. Well, the grapple gun is fairly more simple than the flare gun. However, there are a few things you can master with the grapple gun to make it a lot better of a tool. So, for mods, it's fairly subjective. You can either go long cooldown, long grapple gun range, short cooldown, short range. So these are the mods on the grappling hook. They're mainly subjective. This is what I personally prefer, and I really prefer the overcharged winch for what I'm about to show you. The hook, this is cool. This high velocity ejection system, but it's only 0.2. It only makes a 0.2 second difference, which is not very long if I'm not gonna lie. The max speed is a lot better, especially for what I'm going to show you now. Now, what is this amazing trick? Well, it's simple. It's getting to stuff without needing to, like, for example, mine up there with my pickaxe. How do I do it? Well, with my grapple gun, watch this. See what I did there? What I did is I took the grapple gun, and at the height of my speed, I used my power attack to create a little nook for myself, and now I can just mine down, and just mine the nitra. With a thing of gold. The gold doesn't extend out, so what you gotta do is you just gotta take multiple tries. Just keep trying at it, don't be afraid to take some shield damage. It's not really that bad, and you keep moving, make yourself a nook, and you just kinda dig in. It's rather pretty easy. Now you can apply this to also things like inner pearls that are in the ceiling. However, not as much because you're gonna fall a lot farther. But you can try. Right, so I wanted to talk about some setups that I really liked. The first is a cooling setup. I recommend you try this if you don't like the Crowkin but want to freeze enemies. Cryo grenade, if you want to, it's kind of optional. But then Zhukovs with cryo minolets. It works really well. Obviously, ammo, accuracy, none of the damage related ones. For a really good Dreadnought killer loadout, if you don't have that one overclock on the M1K that makes it do a lot of damage with focus shot, I recommend GK2 with basically max fire rate, 14 rate of fire, 18 damage. It's great. 10 out of 10. And then the jury-rigged boomstick, which is the main. I don't know what to call it. But as you can see, it does like 230 with 253 damage per shot if you hit every single pellet, which is a huge amount of damage, especially from close range. With this setup. And then what I like to call the God setup. Hipster. Hipster is underrated. Now, the most common argument that personally I've heard against Hipster is the math doesn't check out. They're asking you to do half the damage with not half the ammo. Well, that isn't the case anymore. I think they nerfed the regular damage of the thing from 60 to 50. But, here's the thing. Hipster or the hip fire setup with any other loadout or a focused build setup have two major issues. For the non-focused build setup without hipster, the main issue is the fire rate. If you miss a shot, you're more screwed than with hipster, where if you miss a shot, you're fine. You need something spammy. And then, the problem with a focused setup is that you have to aim in on little tiny grunts that are really fast, and you have to kill them. Otherwise, you're screwed, and also your movement gets impaired, which means if there's a menace, or a web spitter, or an acid spitter, you get what I'm saying. Now, hipster basically gives you a double damage GK2. Now, let's take, for example, this. We'll go with like an AI stability engine. Bam. Extra fire rate. No, it's too high fire rate. Damage. 16 damage per shot with a 7 rate of fire. Now, granted, it has a 70% weak point damage, but that's only because of the AI stability engine. But that is a very good weak point damage bonus. But 70%, which is 0.7, let's take 0.5, which would be 8. It's not enough to make it 30, as opposed to an M1000 with hipster. You need something spammy that does lots of damage, and hipster does that. Now, that's the wave clearer, though. Of course, you want to aim for people's or bugs' faces, by the way, that's a given. But this is the bug clear, right? This is the main damage dealer. This is what you're going to be using on Praetorians, Oppressors, Jumbo Shells with a DPS loadout is what you want to use. It's simply nothing else can compare in the secondaries. Now, the Zhukovs are nice, but if you're going with a wave clearer in the primary, which in my opinion, this is the best wave clearer setup in the entirety of the Scout's arsenal, you need a damage dealer to get those thick guys. This, in my opinion, is the God setup. If you don't believe me, try it. Remember, I used the Scout for 2 promotions. I only used the Scout for 2 promotions. If you don't believe that hipster is top tier, use it. Use hipster only for 2 weeks. If you still suck at the end of those 2 weeks, use it for a month. Only hipster, and you will see what I mean. If there's one lesson I learned while playing the Scout, it's that temperature shock synergies are an important strategy in today's DRG meta. Temperature shock can take an oppressor 1/4 its HP like that. And if you can initiate temperature shock multiple times, that's even better. Here are some quick temperature shock synergies that I recommend you to try. Scout freezing cryomineralettes with the Zhukovs, and Gunner's incendiary grenades. Alright, so let's analyze what happens here. So, as you can see, what happens is New throws the incendiary grenade, I throw the cryo grenade. Temperature shock happens. Then I throw the cryo grenade again. Misses, barely hits him, so then I throw another one, temperature shock happens again. Then I throw my last one to no avail. Like an oppressor, it's dead. If it's anything else, it's probably overkill. You take something like the cryomineralettes, the cryo grenade, with the driller's flamethrower. Now, the second mod on the second tier, I believe what it is, that adds 10 extra flame power, would also really help with the temperature shock, is to not botch it up. But just make sure that whenever he's flaming up the enemies, you're not using your Zhukovs to freeze them. Otherwise, the freezing and the flaming will cancel each other out. And then you can also try Inferno on the Engineer. This might be the only time Inferno is useful. with Scouts, Cryo Minolets, and Cryo Grenade. With other classes, you could do something like, for example, a driller with a flamethrower and a driller with a cryo cannon. There's multiple different options. So, what did I learn? After playing 2 promotions with the Scout, basically, Grapple Gun, there's a lot more nuances with the Grapple Gun than you'd think. There's a lot more nuances with the Flare Gun than you'd think. And there's a lot more nuances with the regular weapons than you'd think. Scout is a great flanker. Temperature Shock is a great strategy. Please like and subscribe if you liked the video. Join my Discord in the link below. Please consider joining my friend's Discord in the link below. Have a nice day. Thank you for watching my video.